Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Hands on SAP Dev with Q Macro. That's me, DJ. This is episode 77. I still get so excited when I say that out loud because it just rolls off the tongue now. I've said that last week as well, but I'm really happy. Really happy with that sort of call sign or whatever they call it. Got a cup of tea here, or all ready. I hope you're comfortable. Thank you so much for joining. This is one of the midweek episodes. I did a few midweek episodes, early on in the series, but they were more ad hoc. What I'm trying to do, as maybe some of you are aware, is do a regular midweek episode every 2 weeks. So we're still having the Friday morning episode every week. So of course the next one of that is going to be this coming Friday. But I'm going to do one of these every 2 weeks to do sort of not alternate content, but maybe slightly different content. I've got some cool guests lined up as well, and they will always be on the, or usually always be on the Wednesday on this sort of slot, the 2 p.m. UK time slot, which also allows me to catch some of the folks over in the US as well. So welcome, Rahul. Rahul, good noon, Rahul, good noon. Helas, Volker, Ollie, hi, great to have you on board. So it's quite warm here actually. I'm just going to get the key and open this door here. I think it's a cup of tea. There we go. I'd left the door closed because I think there's somebody working next door, but if they start making noise I can shut the door, of course. So yes, what else? I think actually we can get started. I'm very excited about this one because it's a general subject close to my heart. Something I'm very interested in. Let me just switch to the main scene here, which effectively is what's going on here? Have I switched? Oh, it has switched. Yes, is the command line. As some of you may know, I tweet a lot about terminals and command line interfaces, CLIs, and we've got that hashtag "the future is terminal." I've even got a T-shirt, "the future is terminal," and I do think it's super important generally to be conversant with the command line. As we move more and more into the cloud, it's actually more and more relevant because of course we're managing resources, services, apps and so on in the cloud, sort of cattle not pets, and for the most part they're going to be running in virtual machines, in containers, in pods and whatever, and those are effectively very often, 99% of the time I guess, Linux environments, and the best way to manage a remote Linux environment is through the terminal, through SSH. So yeah, super important, and it's therefore super important as well to be able to have access to tools to do your daily work from the command line. So that's the context and sort of the explanation as to why I'm very keen to see this appear. It's been around for a few months, but not many people have been talking about it yet. So I thought, right, let's have a look. So basically, I'm looking at the SAP Help portal. Hey, good morning from EDT. Good morning to you, Greg, as well, and welcome. So let me just paste that link in there. This is obviously the SAP Help portal, and effectively the context to set the scene, as it were. We've got this sort of documentation about how to administer global accounts and sub-accounts and brackets and directories, as we'll see shortly. So we've got 3 ways of administering this stuff. We can see here in the cockpit, which of course we're all very familiar with SAP Cloud Platform Cockpit. I've got an example of cockpit here, and we'll come back to that later. We've also got, however, that came about with the advent of this so-called feature set B, which we'll talk about shortly. We've got this ability to administer stuff using a command line interface, using a program called SAP CP. Now I'm going to apologize in advance because I'm probably going to call it SAP CP sometimes as well. Just like most people call SAP GUI SAP GUI. We have done for 20 years or whatever. But anyway, so there's a possibility now, and this is what we're going to be looking at today. There's a possibility now of managing our SAP Cloud Platform accounts and sub-accounts and directories, and I said that again, using this SAP CP CLI. There's also, as a good old friend of mine, Guy, pointed out to me in a conversation earlier today, there's also the ability to administer stuff using APIs. How cool is that? So I'm sure we're going to be looking at that as well. But that not right now. We'll have another session on that. So here, for example, is the set of APIs that are just available for managing SAP Cloud Platform resources as well, accounts, entitlements, provisioning, and so on. So that's that. But getting back to where we were, if we have a look at the account administration for SAP Cloud Platform using the CLI, it's basically all about. You're welcome, Guy. Hi, Guy. Nice to see you. This is Guy, by the way. I'm pointing at my other screen, obviously, because you can't see what's going on. But that's the chat. So yeah, Guy, good old friend of mine, and yeah, working on that stuff. Really, really cool. So basically, just like, for example, just like we've got, where's my thing here? Just like we've got the CF command line client for the Cloud Foundry environment. Of course, SAP Cloud Platform being a multi-environment platform. We've got Neo originally, and we've got Cloud Foundry, and we've got Kima, we've got the ABAP stack, Steampunk, and so on. All these different environments that we want to manage. So just as we've got down at the Cloud Foundry environment specific level, a command line for Cloud Foundry, CF, for example, we've now also got a command called SAP CP, which looks like this. Now, let's go back to the help documentation for a second. There's information here. Did I point to this one already? Let me point to this documentation anyway. Yeah, there's the document. Did I already send that? Anyway, I can't remember. This documentation here will point you to the right place to go and download the client and get it installed. Well, installing is just basically putting it in your path somewhere. It's just a single executable, and in fact, where you get it from is the our well-known tools.handsondemand.com SAP development tools. It's down here in the cloud section. It's down here, CLI for SAP Cloud Platform. So download it for either Linux or Mac, or if you insist, for Windows. And bear in mind that right now, and as far as I can see right now, in order to keep it up to date, you've got to go and look for and download new versions. There is something to be aware of there, and I think this is maybe partly why it's like this at the moment. There is in this SAP CP, the Cloud Platform CLI setup, there's the client, which of course is what we're talking about, SAP CP, and there's a server. And the client has a version, and the server has a version, and they need to be compatible and so on. I came across some interesting stuff where I was using a client version 1.2, what is it, 1.22 something. That was too new for the server, so I had to sort of downgrade myself to 1.21. The old versions, for example, are here, right? Hide old versions, there we go. So I've got version 1.21.2 installed on this particular machine here, and I'm quite happy with that, and that's fine. So what I've done, I downloaded it, and it was literally just a zip file or a TGZ file, TARG zip file with a single binary in, and I put that binary in my path, and I like to keep stuff like that in a local bin in my user directory, so that's where it is. And in fact, as you can see from here, we've got some usage help, which we'll come to shortly. And I mentioned just a second ago that this is like a client-server thing, obviously. And the server URL endpoint to which the client should connect is cpcli.cf.eu10.handa.ondemand.com. And that, of course, well, not of course, that is when you download the client. That currently is burned into the pre-configured You can change it, but it's pre-configured. So so when you start out, you don't have to set that. It might be that this URL will change, and of course it will change in the burnt-in new version of SAP CP. Don't worry that it points to cf.eu10. That's sort of less relevant for us right now. It's just a general server endpoint. I'm using my workflow user that we've used in previous HandsOnSAPDev live streams because I get to play around with lots of stuff without breaking the stuff I'm doing here elsewhere. And there's the workman who's just started. There we go. I knew there was a reason for shutting the door. One sec. Wow, getting up from my chair on a live stream twice in one go. For Windows, the file is .tar.gz. What's Rahul is saying that's where are we? tar.gz. Yeah, that's fine. Tar.gz is not not anything that Windows can't handle or shouldn't be able to handle. I think unzippers, compressor programs like 7-zip or whatever, or WinZip or WinRAR. I've no idea. I'm not a Windows person. But in the past when I've had to use Windows, I've managed to unzip or unpack tar.gz, so you should be fine. Top tip: move away from Windows. Get some Linux in your life, or some Mac OS. Linux, preferably, obviously. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. So it's in my path, and the configuration file, it uses configuration obviously to remember your settings, and that I'm using a particular environmental variable which I found in the documentation to point it to where I want my configuration to be, which is .config. It's like the standard ad hoc, not ad hoc, what's the word I'm looking for? The de facto standard for sort of Linux these days, and Unix, put it in a .config file, a .config directory in your home directory. So what I did actually is add it to the end. In fact, I've just added it there today, as you can see from the Git changes. SAP CP CLI configuration export SAP CP client config equals myhome.config.sapcp, and you'll see in there that .config SAP CP. It's got a couple of things there, and that's of course how it's remembering where I'm connected to. Okay, the subdomain, the server URL, and so on. Anyway, let's start out by having a quick look at what the things mean here. I mean, in fact, I can log on again. SAP CP login. I mean, in fact, let's talk a little bit about the usage and what that sort of tells us. It's actually really well thought out. Oh, here we go. What's Rahul saying? For Windows, Greg, VS Code is Windows to me. VS Code is Windows. VS Code is not Windows. VS Code it runs on all sorts of platforms. Or am I misunderstanding you, Greg? VS Code is an IDE that runs on Mac OS, on Linux, various Linuxes, on Windows, various Windows as well. Or do I not understand what you're saying there? Sorry. But anyway, I'm going to log in. Okay. Windows has tar. Yes, Windows has. Thank you, Tom. And Tom, welcome, Tom. Windows has tar 2 as well. Yes. I don't know whether you mean within the WSL, the Windows subsystem for Linux, or whether it's built in that you can access from, what's it called, cmd.exe, or from PowerShell. If that is your preference. But yeah, you should be able to unzip it. Okay, so I'm logging in, and as you can see here, this is of course set from my config already, but this is also preset, so I'm going to say yes, thank you very much, that's the one. Now, when I'm logging into my global account so that I can actually start configuring and messing around with the stuff that's within my global account. We're talking about my trial account here, so let's have a quick look at that. So this is, again, let's go from the top, as it were. Here's my global account. There's my user ID there, user information. This is this one here, right? qmacro plus workflow codejam@gmail.com. That's fine. When I go in there, I enter at the global account. Come on. Sometime today. Perfect. And my global account is 7C40B1DA trial. Now, something I didn't notice until I needed it, which is for SAP CP, is this thing here which wasn't always there. You know, if you've missed it as well, that's perfectly fine because it wasn't always displayed there. There's this thing called a subdomain. You know, we're used to seeing subdomains in relation to subaccounts, but not in relation to global accounts. So watch out. That's something interesting now. So this is what we need to specify that thing there when we log in. Okay, so it's already specified or pre-specified because it's getting that from my config. You know, the same one, yeah, default, yeah, fine. User, that's from my config as well. Obviously, I've got to type in my password. Login successful. You're stored your configuration. Yeah, okay, fine. Okay, so now, oh yes, I've got this really old ISO L365. Remember those? Amazing monitor that I bought in Germany decades ago. It cost me, I don't know, 400 Deutschmarks. It was that long time ago. And it's really good, but it's a little bit small when I'm, anyway. Natively in the Windows, natively in it, even without WSL. Okay, cool. Thumbs up, Mohammed. Nice one, Mohammed. Hey, Pranay, welcome, and hello to you as well. Tar must specify want to see you. Yeah, perfect, brilliant. Thanks for checking that out for us, Mohammed. Yeah, perfect, great to have. I mean, Tar's an age-old program. Is it not true? Do we all remember that SAP Car, for those of us who were sort of basis people a long time ago, SAP Car, which still exists, is a sort of basically a flavor of tar, right? Same sort of commands. Anyway, I'm going to look specifically at this word targeting here. Now, we're all aware, or some of us are probably aware, that in the command line CLI for the Cloud Foundry environment in SAP Cloud Platform multi-environment, there is also this concept of a target. Okay, if I run CF target, this is just an example, we can see that I'm connected to a particular endpoint, the API is at this endpoint, it's a certain version, and blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. In the same way, SAP CP, because of the way that things are structured in Cloud Platform, there's a hierarchy of global accounts and then sub-accounts and also directories. There's also the concept of, where are you target for the subsequent commands you're going to carry out with SAP CP, where are you going to target? And right now it's saying I'm targeting your global account, subdomain 7c4 blah 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 -GA. Okay. Now we'll see shortly that a lot of the commands that we're going to want to try out with SAP CP, they are not general to the global account. Not much is, there's certainly some stuff that we want to play around with, but a lot of stuff that I find myself doing is at the sub-account level, okay, and i.e. at, where are we? At this level here. Here, trial is my sub-account. I've got one sub-account, it's in US East, which is US 10, and so on, and in that sub-account I've got connected to it an environment which is a Cloud Foundry environment, and so on. We all know about that sort of thing. Sorry, there's drill. It's been quiet all day, right? And as soon as I start live streaming, somebody starts drilling. But anyway, this is lockdown. This is normal. That's cool. Let's embrace it. Let's make that a little bit bigger as well. Okay, so now let me talk. I mentioned that right at the start, and I forgot to mention. Let me talk about where this is available. Right, this is available for trial accounts. It's available for us, people like you and me. But more specifically, it's available for trial accounts that have this feature set B. Now, in the documentation, and in fact, I think we can find it if we follow the links from here, workflow about SAP Cloud Platform Cockpit, Cloud Management Tools, feature set B. Let's follow that link, actually. And that link there will tell us about the different feature sets. Basically, the key thing to know is, we're improving, renovating, and adding core functionalities to SAP Cloud Platform. And the stuff that, you and I have grown to know and love, that is essentially, the current stuff, the old stuff, let's call it for now, for sake of argument. And that is what is being referred to here as feature set A. Now, logically, the new stuff comes along in feature set B. And there's all sorts of stuff here to to understand about what the differences are and how to find whether you're in feature set A or feature set B. In fact, we can see how we found out by actually saying, user about, and you can see whether it'll either say feature set B or feature set A. Basically, brand new trial accounts that are created, and this has been the case. Tom, correct me if I'm wrong. This has been the case for quite a few weeks now. Will be created automatically with feature set B. So if you're still using an account with feature set A, then you can either create a new account or wait for that to expire, and then when you get it to recreate, it will be recreated in feature set B. So basically, you need feature set B, which comes with a whole load of stuff, including what I mentioned at the start, these directories. A really nice way to group together sub-accounts, so you can manage those sub-accounts, group them together as far as entitlements and usage and monitoring, and also you can, for example, assign sort of properties and values, so you can do some reporting and all sorts of different stuff. So read this information here and find out what else you can do. One of the things you can do is use SAPcp, right? Okay, this is the whole point. So, SAP car is in your finger muscle. Yes, SAP car -VXF is in my finger memory as well. Yes. Command turning into a CLI, CMD turning a CLI slowly but surely. Yes. So, it will come to us all. The command line will come to us all if it's not already arrived. So Tom, you think for trial, by now most everyone should be on B. Awesome. Okay, so I can leave that then. Let's close that. Feature set B. Okay, so feature set B, where were we? Let me go back to my trial top here. So there's the subdomain. Here's my trial account. So what that means is that we've got access to all the different things here with SAPcp. Now let's have a look at this. SAPcp options, action, group, objects, parameters. It's like, whoa, what does that mean? But actually, if we say SAPcp help, which is one of the options, we can see a ton of stuff. It's really nicely documented, nicely laid out. It did sort of take me aback a little bit first of all, but once I sort of stepped back and had a look at it from 10,000 feet, it's like, actually, it's really nice. So let me just sort of scroll up here a bit. And let's just have a quick look at the sort of thing we've got. We've got our actions. So basically, it's like a a verb and a noun, a specific noun, a verb and a group and a noun, or a verb and an object. Or if you're lexicography or a language wonk, a verb and a substantive. Anyway, so we've got general actions like log in, log out, and target. And we'll be playing around with target shortly to set the default context to be not the global account, but my singular, at the moment, sub-account. But then we've got actions like, all the main actions, if you discount sort of the general ones like login, log out, and target, all the main actions are like list, get, create, update, enable, assign, unassign, and so on, right? So what else have we got? We've got subscribe, unsubscribe, move. I think the only context where move is a relevant action is for this particular thing here. So let's talk now about the rest of this stuff. So we've got action, and then you invoke an action, you carry out an action, a verb, on a thing. What is that thing? Well, it's an object, but those objects are sort of grouped within different groups, organized within different groups. So for example, we've got a group called accounts. And in accounts, you have different objects like available region, custom property, directory, entitlement, environment instance, global account, and so on. Okay, what other groups have we got? If we go further down here, we can see there's another group called security. Within security, we've got app, role collection, user, and so on. We've got services, we've got broker, and we've got platform. Notice, and this has been helpful for me, notice that each of the objects are in the singular. So broker, not brokers, platform, not platforms, and so on. Resource provider, not resource providers, okay? And where it makes sense, and where they've built out the functionality out already. And bear in mind as well that there's the team building out the SAPcp CLI itself, but of course there's the API backend that actually does the doing, as it were, when an action gets invoked. and both parts have to exist and be connected together in order for a given action to work on a given object within a group. Okay. Oh, lots of chat. Oh, I've just suddenly I can actually go to this thing here, plus make it a bit bigger. There we go. That's better. I can read it now. Yours. So Greg, yours got refreshed late May. Account expiration, your favourite topic. Yes, I saw your tweet this morning, Ronnie. Yeah, what can I say? We're working on it. I'm working on it. Lots of people are like, but anyway, yes. How can we measure how many memory disks and instances should a set for a Node.js cap application? What? Javier? Oh, Javier. Good. Hello. How can we make stress and load test in Node.js metrics and estimate time? Oh, I think, did I see a question from you on? I saw it about an hour ago on another video. So let me get back to you on that video. I think it's in the comment section, right, Javier? Yes, I'm sure. Is that the same question that you asked on the video comments? Yeah, let's leave that for now because I want to spend time talking about SAP CP, and ping me on Twitter if I forget to answer on the. It was a comments on one of the HandsOnSAPDev episode recordings, right, on YouTube. Let me know, Javier. And nice to see you as well. So we've got all these different things. So one of the things, oh yes, okay, cool. One of the things that I did find a little bit sort of problematic for me with my small brain was that a lot of this was overwhelming. The documentation is really good, the help documentation is really good, but I could never remember what I could do, and it's partly because I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing either. I don't know what I'm doing. My favourite phrase. Oh, by the way, and these are the options as well. So we can say --help, --info. In fact, I think the info, if you do --info, it's the same as just doing SAP CP on its own. SAP CP. Same thing. And one of the cool things is that you can say, for example, let's go back up again for a second. If we say security user, so list security user, so you'd say SAP CP list security user. That's how you use this command line. So you take the action that's available for one of these group/objects, but then I get to the stage like, oh yeah, what am I supposed to do here? What are the parameters? So you can say --help, and it'll tell you what you need to do. You can also put the help. Oops. You can also put the help user at the start as well. Oop. SAP. Oh, I thought you could. Oh yeah, sorry. My fault. Help. I'm getting too excited. List. So there's the action, and then the security is the group, and the user is the object, and it'll tell you that same help, which is great. But the way my brain works is the way that the CLI does it as well, which is we can put the help at the end. Because you get to the end of the thing, you think, oh, how do I do it? And you don't want to delete it all. So it's great that you can do help at either end here. Really cool. Now, a little bit overwhelming still. So one of the things I want to show you very briefly now, and maybe we'll cover it in a future Wednesday episode because it's a little bit sort of off-piste, is that I've built some command completion, some bash command completion. So instead of having to remember or doing this SAP help all the time to SAP CP help all the time to have a look at the things and go and scroll back and, oh, which one is it here? Oh, is that one there? I'm not sure. What I've done is I've written something so that you can say SAP CP, hit tab, and it'll tell you all the different actions. Okay, all the possible actions. And then when you say, oh, okay, get or well, list, for example. And of course that will also, tab complete. And then you can tab complete again, but it takes the context of the action you've chosen and will only show you the different group stroke objects that you can do a list on. Okay, so that for me has been quite useful to sort of start discovering this. Okay, so let's have a go while we're here. SAP CP list accounts. What have we got here? Available region. There we go. So showing available regions for global account 8C83, okay, which is global account. Well, we can't, I don't know why it's not here, but we can't see the account ID in the cockpit. I suppose the cockpit is supposed to be, more user-friendly or, end user-friendly. But actually we can see it because it's in the URL 8C83. So the ID of the global account is up here. So when you're sort of transitioning and switching between the CLI and the cockpit, it's very useful to sort of keep an eye on the URL. This is why it's super important that Google does not do the wrong thing and mask the URL, the real URL, in the browsers, trying to do the right thing from a security perspective. No, Google, do not do that. Keep the URL as it is because it's super important. So there's the available regions for that account here. What else can we do? If we have to do a get and accounts global account, let's have a look at the global account. So we've got the details here. We've got the global account ID and the display name and the description. And as you can see here, the state message is a really funky state message. Unsuspension, which is not a word. But anyway, unsuspension account complete, as in, my account expired and it was sort of, unexpired, which is that a word? I don't know. Anyway. Let's go with it, and it's a license type trial, and so on. So there's all sorts of things we can have a look at that. We can also have a look at the sub accounts. Let's have a look. Accounts global, and we can say here help, and we can also see that in the help it's showing us that we can say show hierarchy. Okay, so show the contents of the global account. So why don't we try that? Show hierarchy. And we can see it's a little bit long here, a little bit ugly, but let's just truncate that just for the time being, and we can see effectively the sort of the line by line hierarchy. We've got the global account 8C83, but then also we've got a sub account B88F. Now, if we have a look at the B88F and have a look at the information here of this trial sub account. Within the global account, we can see that's what this is, B88F, right? And you can also see the result of me playing around with SAP CP and seeing what I could do, because I've got this property that I've assigned to this sub-account through the command line, series HandsOnSAPDev, which is quite cool. So let's just go into that, and we can see actually when we actually enter that, the account ID is B88F. That's up here in the URL. Get in line. Oh, get in line. Have I missed? Oh, hold on. Once CAP goes open source, many of us are in queue for providing database adapters. Get in line. Well done, Volker, and well done, Mohammed. Yes. Any tip on CAP Oracle? My boss is married to Oracle in childhood, and I can't go away. What a brilliant way to put it. Yeah. That should be awesome. Why don't we try and play around with other things here? So let's have a look at, for example, SAP CP get, and what can we get? Accounts, sub-account. Okay, constraint violated, you have to provide parameter ID. Okay, so why don't we add the ID of the sub-account, which is, in fact, we can get it here, can't we? Show hierarchy, and where is it? There it is, up here. The sub-account is there. That. So what you say here, get account, sub-account, and let's add the ID at the end, showing sub-account details. Okay, we can do things like change the description. So why don't we instead? Oh, there we go. There's the custom property, name, value, series, HandsOnSAPDev. So I add that. Let's add another custom property. So let's have a look. SAP CP help. Proper. Here we go. Accounts. Actions for account custom property list. Show custom properties assigned to a sub-account or a directory. One of two custom properties. So actually, how did I do that? SAP CP list accounts custom property. Right. This is what I was almost trying to sort of force the issue of, right? constraint violated, you have to either provide parameter for subaccount or provide parameter for directory. Okay, i.e., we're saying here, give me the custom properties of a subaccount. For subaccount, for directory. Now, there's also a way, sapcp list. My brain's going completely blank. Customer entitlement. Oh yes, entitlement. Resource provider, subaccount subscription. Yes, accounts list account subscription. Here we go, subscription. There we go, subaccount ID. Now, I came across this quite a lot, as in having to specify the subaccount ID each time. But there is, if we say SAP CP help target, we can set the default context for commands to a subaccount. So we can say, what's our subaccount again? That one there. So we can say SAP CP target -SA subaccount, and then we want, do we not? We want that, don't we? There we go. So now it says here, in fact, if we do sapcp again, we can see here that it's now saying not only targeting subaccount global account, but also the subaccount with GUID B88F, which is, just to remind ourselves, which is our subaccount called trial. Okay. So now if we retry that account subscription list, then we get the details for the account subscription. And does this, let's just make this a little bit smaller. I'm just going to see if I can make that a bit bigger again. That's okay, yeah, a little bit better. So what we can see here is we've got SAP App Studio trial, retention manager, IT trial, IRPA trial, blah, 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 blah. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 entries effectively in the output from our account subscriptions. Now, let's see if we can tie this up. As we can see as well, in this subaccount, one of those, enterprise messaging, is already subscribed. So let's see if we can see the evidence of that in the cockpit, because you know, when I'm first starting out, I'm just trying to make sure I'm lining them up in my brain what I can do and see and access and modify eventually with the SAP CP command line interface, which is awesome, with what I can already see in the cockpit. So I'm now looking at the trial account, my trial sub account rather. Let's look at the subscriptions. And we can see here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did I count that wrong? Hold on, let's go back again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I missed one. 6, 7, 8. ALMTS. Okay. And there's one subscribe, which is enterprise messaging. So that is exactly that thing here. Now, so that's pretty cool as well. But let's try and do something a little bit more interesting. Let's try and explore this concept of directories, right? So the idea of a directory, if you know, and again, I don't know whether you're still on the call or on the live stream, or anybody else from the team. Please, you know, put me right, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm wrong all the time. And I've completely lost my thread now. Oh yes, we want to try out this idea of the feature set B directory. Okay, which is a, you know, it's just like it is hierarchical in that, you know, you have children of directories, but it's not like you know, multi-level hierarchy. So it's just a way of grouping things together. And you can actually have, if I remember rightly, if you can have directories, let's say you've got directory pointing to or encompassing subaccounts A, B, and C. You could have another directory encompassing B, C, and D, for example. They don't have to be sort of, you know, not overlapping. So actually, I remember the reason why I don't normally do live streams in the afternoon, because my brain is absolutely dead. Anyway, let's try and create a directory. So in fact, over here we can see we've got at the global account level, we've got this directories, which is still in beta. So let's have a look. We've got no directories. Choose create directory to get started. And there's even a really nice sort of, when we get one, a nice graphical overlay there. So we've got the global account, we've got the trial account. Okay, that's, that really helps right now, right? To sort of visualize, okay, we've got a global account, it's got one sub account in one region, and that sub account's provider is Amazon Web Services, and it's in the US East, and it's a multi-environment sub account. So now, why don't we try and create a directory, and then either move this trial account, this existing trial sub account, into that directory, or actually maybe even create a new sub account in that directory. That'd be quite exciting. So folks on the chat, help me out here. Maybe have, install SAP CP right now. Go and have a look at the help documentation, and let's try and work this out together. SAP CP help. Let's have a read through the documentation first, right? Let's just, where are the directories? Oh, there we go. There, already we found them. Account actions for account directory. Get, create, update, delete. Sounds a bit crud-like. It's quite nice. And enable. Now I do know, for those of you wondering, I do know that the awesome team are working also, when the backend facility becomes available, to also allow us to sort of list directories. In case you're wondering what you can get in create but you can't list, that's coming. Bear in mind this is also a beta, right? So let's create a directory. Let's just try by doing the simplest thing that could possibly work. SAP CP create tab. What can I create? Oh, I can create these things here. Accounts directory. Let's see what it tells us. Okay, constraint violated. I love that. That's really severe. Constraint violated. Not just error or you've not specified something. Constraint violated. You idiot. So I quite like that. You have to provide parameter features. Okay, so let's do a SAP CP create accounts directory help. Ooh, wow, loads of help. Okay, cool. So let's have a quick look. Whoa, my goodness me, bedtime reading. Okay, so we got here SAP create accounts directory help. Da, 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 da. Okay, so set the features parameters, specify which features to enable for the directory. Let me just point to where I'm reading so we can see. I suppose I could use my mouse as well, but who needs the mouse? Put that over there. So set the features parameter default. Let's go for default. Okay, for now I'm not really that interested in specific features. I think I do remember looking at the when we looked at the documentation. I'm not going to dig through the documentation now, but there was somewhere. Commands in the CLI. No, okay, let's not look at that for now. Let's just do it. So we got our features. Oh, there we go. There's some examples. Features default. Let's go for that one. Okay, so features default. Let's see what it tells us now. Constraint violated. You have to provide parameter display name. Okay, let's give it a display name. Features display. By the way, let's CP. If we have a look at that again, we can see up here that in the usage we've got the options like -- help, -- verbose, -- info. We've got the action create. We've got the group object, which is account directory, and then we've got the parameters. And the parameters, there may or may not be a single positional parameter, which comes first, obviously, position 1, after the thing. And then you have any number of sort of flag-based parameters, as in -- this, -- that, and so on. So that's what we're doing here. So let's do that again. SAP features default -- display name. What should we call it? We've done already. Let's do bananas. Why not? Display name bananas. And description. Description yellow and bendy. Wow, okay, cool. Creating directory in global account 8 in global account. Okay, so again, getting my brain around this. We've got the global account, my global account 8C83, my trial account. And we've got now a directory with ID AF66 something, with a display name, a description, directory which is default. The parent ID is the global account logically, and it's been created, and it's been created sort of synchronously as well. You know, it's not like, oh, let me go and start a job to go and create this and I'll come back later. So that's cool. So let's see what's happening. In fact, sapcp get accounts directory constraint violated. Okay, well, let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at on the cockpit, because you know we're still trying to align what we can do here in SAP CP with the cockpit. Now let's go back. Let's just hit refresh. Actually, I'm just reaching over here and the mouse is not there. But we'll bring the mouse back a minute. Cool, we got directory created. More info, ID, AF66, there we go, that's that. Features, group and filter of sub-accounts, monitor usage and costs, set custom properties and tags. Now those were the 3 features that are the default features. I'm sure I saw that somewhere in the documentation. Account administration. Oh, it was when we looked at the feature set, wasn't it? Let's just quickly go. Can we just do that? Control Command Shift T. There we go. Features, directories, group and manage sub accounts, monitor. Yeah, I think those are the 3 things there, right? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, where are we? There we are. Now, if we look at the hierarchy, that's pretty cool. Okay. Right now, it's not very useful because we've got nothing in that banana subdirectory. So why don't we now try and create a sub-account that will then appear here? That'd be quite cool. How would we do that? Let's see. SAP CP help. So we've got here actions for, let's see, available regions, no. Custom properties, no. Accounts directory, no. Account entitlements, environment instances, global accounts, resource providers, sub-accounts. Okay, let's go and have a look at these here. We can list them in a global account, get details, create a sub-account, update, delete, move, beta. I guess that's, in what context would you move a sub-account? I'm guessing that context is you'd move a sub-account, you know, to underneath a directory. And I guess that's why that's beta, because all the directory stuff is beta. Subscribe to, okay, so let's try it. SAP CP creates what we're calling it, account sub-account. Let's, you know, be a good citizen and have a look at the help first before, you know, barging through the door with our head first. Create a sub-account. Oh, here we go. So let's have a look at the usage. Okay, what global account? Name, region, subdomain, directory, ID, beta enabled. Okay, so we definitely want it in the directory. So let's put that one first and find out what else we actually need. Rather than reading through this documentation together. That'd be quite exciting, wouldn't it? So if we say create account, sub-accounts, directory, was it directory? Yeah, it was directory. Okay, so let's have a look. What's the directory ID? Directory ID. Ooh, press the wrong button there. Go away. Discard. Directory. Information ID. That's the directory ID we want. And there we go. So let's just try that again. Display name. Okay, now we're getting there now. Display name. I can't think of any information. Oh, let's go. Let's use Northwind. Some Northwind product. I have no idea. Display name Chai. Region. Oh, now region. SAP CP list. Accounts available region. Oh, I love this command completion. If anybody wants this, let me know and I'll write a blog post about it. I might even do that. I might even start that this afternoon. If you're interested, by the way, it is files, script, bash completion, SAP CP. What I did was I took the output of the document of the help, parsed that with some bash, worked out what the simplest of all the actions were, and then worked out, once an action was chosen, what the possible group and objects would be for that action, which is that one there, target for action, and then bundle it all up into a little bash completion thing. And it seems to be working. So there we go. Let's just... Anyway, so the available regions are, of course, EU10 or US10. And I like the way that, things are sort of divided up into, small chunks, into small components. In fact, I don't know this, but is there anything in that output that is standard error? No. Oh, yes, there is. Okay, the OK part, the OK part is part of standard error. So if this became stable, we could then start thinking about, for example, using Fuzzy Finder to say, I don't know, like this. Get rid of the first 3 lines like that, and then pipe it into Fuzzy Finder. So we can choose, the region. Oh, missed that. Oh, I didn't delete the title either. Okay, that sort of thing. So it sort of lends itself, or it's starting already to lend itself to allowing us as developers and DevOps people and basis people to, really build ad hoc or longer term custom useful features that you could never do with a GUI. You could never do with the cockpit. Cockpit is super useful, but the SAP CP command line interface lends us a really powerful tool to do, do this sort of thing. So I'm really excited about that. Anyway, US 10. All right, let's create in US 10. Why not? So what did we do in here? Region, no, blah, blah, blah. Region US 10. Subdomain. So, oh yes, subdomain. Now, this is something. I'll be honest with you. I'm just like I'm just a normal idiot, right? I've never understood what a subdomain is all about, because a subdomain has to be unique. I read somewhere the subdomain has to be unique within a region. So I'm missing something. Somebody please explain to me. But anyway, let's just do here subdomain. If I say QMacro, for example, somewhere at some stage, oh, I've done it in EU10. So in EU10, I've created QMacro already. I don't know where, so I can't use that again. But anyway, okay, cool. Subdomain QMacro region US10 beta enable false. Oh, maybe we can try and change that actually. So this is where command runs in the background. Job ID 460558. It's very interesting to know that the job ID is 460558. I'm not sure we'd be able to use that to find out what's happening to it. It'd be quite cool if we do it. If we could. But anyway, let's see. Use SAPCP get account subaccount. All right, we'll do that. SAPCP get accounts sub tab completion, or all of that subaccount. Don't forget singular. It's easy to remember. Subaccount to verify creation of the subaccount. Showing subaccount details. Oh, I see. I guess it means SAPCP gets account subaccounts with the ID that's just been created, I guess. ID, so that's the one, isn't it? Let's just grab that and put it in there. There it is. Display name chai, subdomain QMacro, region US10, parent ID is AF66, which is the directory, isn't it? The parent, oh yeah, parent type directory. How do you refresh this? If I move to, no, I'll just go here and back again rather than refresh the whole page. There we are. How cool is that? How do you move this around? Can you sort of scroll it up? What does that mean? Oh, yeah, well, let's do that instead. There we go. I'm really impressed. I think that's cool. Has anybody else, let me know on the chat, who else has installed and started having a look at kicking the tires of SAP CP? I think it's definitely a step, a massive step in the right direction. I'm really excited about it. I'm still learning though, just like you. But as you can see, it's really easy to get going with. I wonder if we could, yeah, one more thing. Let's do one more thing. Let's add SAP CP. What else can we play around with? property list, custom properties. Maybe entitlement. Oh, actually, get all the entitlements and quota assignments. Why don't we try that? Accounts entitlement and just understand what that's all about. Get accounts entitled. Sorry. Get. It's list, wasn't it? List accounts entitlements. Oh, cool. Now, I'm guessing. Yes, these are the entitlements for B88F, which is the sub-account called trial. Because we're targeting, aren't we? We're targeting that sub-account. So I suppose we could show a hierarchy. Let's have a look at the hierarchy now. Ooh, there we go. We could now retarget, couldn't we? This sub-account here. Yeah, that's that one. Yeah, I can imagine a fuzzy finder based sort of retarget. So target. That's the one. That one. So all my future SAP CP executions right now will target that. So if we have a look at the list account entitlements, what entitlements do we have for the new account? None. Okay, that sort of makes sense, right? Okay, that's cool. It's 14:57 my time, which means I guess it's time to bring this to a close. Let me know in the chat. Let me know on Twitter what you found out about SAP CP, whether you're already using it, whether you're looking forward to using it, whether you've got features that be already, if you're using directories already. I would love to know, and I would love to know whether you would find this tab completion, this bash command completion, useful. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for joining. Next HandsOnSAPDev live stream is going to be at the normal time, on the normal day, Friday, 8 AM UK, episode 78. And yeah, I've nominally said that we're going to continue digging into the HandsOnSAPDev API. But if we want to carry on looking at this, we can keep looking at this a little bit more, dig in. Let's leave it open. So until then, thank you so much for joining, like I've said already, and yeah, see you next time. Bye.